What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks into what should be a routine promotional interview, only to find himself ambushed by a line of questioning that spirals completely out of control? Today, we're diving into the shocking moment Michael Douglas lost his cool on live television during what was supposed to be a simple guest appearance on The View. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe, drop a comment sharing your thoughts on celebrity interviews gone wrong, and hit that like button if you're watching on your phone. It helps more than you know. It all began when Michael Douglas stepped onto the View set that morning, expecting a smooth chat about his latest film. He'd done hundreds of these, charming, professional, effortless. But this time something felt off. Joy Behar had that unmistakable look in her eyes, the one that says, "Trouble is coming." "So, Michael," Joy began before he'd even settled in his chair, "let's talk about your new movie. But first I have to ask, how do you justify being worth millions while ordinary people can't even pay their bills?" The audience shifted. The crew froze. Michael raised an eyebrow, clearly caught off guard. "Well, Joy," he replied evenly, "that's quite a way to start. I've worked hard for everything I've earned, just like anyone else." Joy wasn't buying it. "Worked hard?" she shot back. "You were born into privilege. Your father was Kirk Douglas. Some of us actually had to fight our way up from nothing. The tension was instant. Whoopi Goldberg tried to defuse it. Maybe we should focus on Michael's movie." But Joy waved her off. "No, I think this is important," she said sharply. "These celebrities come on here acting like they're just regular people. Tell me, Michael, when was the last time you pumped your own gas? Worried about groceries?" Michael's jaw tightened. "Joy, I don't think attacking me personally is the point here. I came on your show as a courtesy to talk about a project I'm proud of." "A courtesy?" Joy snapped. "You're here to sell tickets and make more money. Don't pretend this is charity." The studio fell silent. Even the audience didn't know whether to clap or cringe. Finally, Michael's patience snapped. "Joy, I've done interviews for decades, and I've never seen a host behave this unprofessionally. What exactly are you trying to accomplish here?" Joy leaned forward, eyes locked on him. "I'm trying to get some honesty from someone who's spent his whole career pretending to be something he's not. You play the working-class hero, but you're just another out-of-touch Hollywood elite. That did it." Michael's calm facade dropped. His voice turned cold. "You want honesty? Fine. What you're doing isn't journalism. It's a hit job disguised as an interview." Joy smirked. "Oh, so now I don't know how to do my job? That's rich coming from someone who's never worked a real day in his life." Michael laughed, a harsh, humorless sound. "Lady, I've been working since my 20s. I've produced films, built companies, created jobs for hundreds of people. What exactly have you contributed besides sitting behind this desk throwing stones at people who've actually done something?" The other hosts sat frozen. No one had ever talked to Joy like that on live TV. Producers behind the camera were frantically signaling, "Cut to commercial, cut to commercial." But it was too late. The moment was already destined to go viral. Joy's face flushed with anger. "How dare you question my contributions?" she snapped. "I've been a working comedian and television host for decades. I earned everything I have, without Daddy's help." Michael's composure shattered. "Working comedian?" He shot back, his tone sharp as glass. "Is that what we're calling this? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you use your platform to bully guests who can't fight back." "Well, guess what, Joy? I'm not one of them." "Okay, let's all take a breath," Whoopi interjected, trying to diffuse the escalating chaos. But Michael wasn't backing down. "No, Whoopi, I'm sorry," he said, turning toward her. "Your colleague has been completely out of line since the moment I sat down. This isn't an interview, it's an ambush." "An ambush?" Joy barked a laugh. "All I did was ask you some tough questions about privilege. If you can't handle that, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews." "Tough questions?" Michael's voice rose to match hers. "You didn't ask about my work, my craft, or anything remotely relevant to why I'm here. You went straight for personal attacks. That's not tough journalism. That's just bad manners." "Bad manners?" Joy scoffed. "You want to talk about bad manners? How about hoarding wealth while people are homeless? How about lecturing the rest of us about social issues while living in a mansion?" The cameras zoomed in, capturing every flicker of emotion, Michael's clenched jaw, the pulse in Joy's temple. The tension was electric, raw, and very real. "You want to talk about bubbles?" Michael countered, his voice lower but more dangerous now. You sit here in your multi-million-dollar studio, lecturing others about privilege while cashing your own massive paychecks. When's the last time you rode the subway, Joy? Or went grocery shopping without an assistant? Joy froze for a moment, caught off guard. That's different, she sputtered. I didn't inherit my career from a famous father, Michael pounced. No, you just inherited your spot on this show because you'll say whatever controversial thing gets ratings. At least I create something. My films, my productions, they employ thousands. They tell stories that mean something. What do you create, Joy? Division? Negativity? The studio was silent. Even the crew had stopped moving. Every eye was on them. Michael stood up, something almost unheard of during a live taping. The energy shifted instantly. You know what your problem is, Joy? He said, pointing at her. You're bitter. You sit here day after day tearing down people who've actually built something. You want to talk about social responsibility? Start with basic respect for your guests. Joy shot to her feet, her face flushed. Don't you dare psychoanalyze me, Michael Douglas, she snapped. I don't need life lessons from someone who's never faced a real challenge in his pampered existence. Michael's voice cracked with disbelief and fury. Pampered? I've battled throat cancer. I've been dragged through public divorces. I've rebuilt my career from scratch. I've dealt with addiction and tragedy in my family. But you wouldn't know any of that because you didn't do an ounce of research before this interview. You came here to pick a fight. Sarah Haynes looked near tears. Sunny Hostin frantically flipped through her notes, desperate for a way out. What was meant to be a light-hearted promo segment had turned into a career-defining meltdown, but Joy wasn't done. Oh, boo-hoo, she sneered. You had some personal problems while living in mansions and flying private. Cry me a river, Michael. Some of us have real problems. Real problems? Michael thundered. His voice filled the entire studio. You think money makes pain disappear? That it protects you from loss or sickness or heartbreak? That's the most ignorant thing I've heard all morning. And that's saying a lot after this circus of an interview. Behind the glass, the producers were panicking, gesturing wildly to cut to commercial, but no one dared interrupt. The cameras stayed locked on Joy and Michael, the air thick with tension. Joy crossed her arms, her smirk returning. Look at you, she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. All worked up because someone finally called you out on your privilege. This is exactly what I'm talking about, Joy snapped, her tone dripping with scorn. You can't handle a single ounce of criticism because you've been surrounded by yes men your entire life. Michael let out a bitter laugh. Yes men? Lady, I work in Hollywood. Trust me, there's never a shortage of people ready to tell you exactly what they think of you. The difference is, most of them have the professional courtesy to wait until you're not a guest on their show. Professional courtesy? Joy's voice rose an octave. What about the professional courtesy of acknowledging your privilege instead of pretending you're some self-made man? What about not lying to the audience about what it's really like to be rich in America? I've never lied about anything, Michael fired back, his voice sharp with anger. You're the one lying to yourself and to everyone watching. You pretend this is about justice, but really it's about you. Tearing people down so you can feel superior. That's when Michael completely snapped. You know what, Joy? He said, his voice erupting like a volcano that had been building for years. I'm done. Absolutely done with this charade. You want to talk about real problems? Let me tell you about real problems. You sit here every day spewing bitterness and division, poisoning every conversation you touch, and you have the nerve to lecture me about privilege? For the first time, Joy's smug expression faltered. She hadn't expected him to go nuclear. You think you're some kind of champion of the people? Michael pressed on, his voice echoing through the studio. You're not. You're a professional antagonist. You don't build anything. You don't inspire anyone. You just feed off outrage and conflict like it's oxygen. Joy tried to cut in, but Michael raised a hand. No, you've had your turn. Now it's my turn. He stepped closer to the table. You want to talk about earning things? I've been nominated for Oscars. I've won Golden Globes. I've produced films that employ thousands and entertain millions. What have you done, Joy? What's your legacy, making people uncomfortable? The studio was dead silent. Every camera operator, Every crew member was frozen, watching the confrontation unfold in real time. Joy tried to regain control. You think your little trophies make you special? You think because Hollywood patted you on the head that gives you the right to what? Michael exploded, taking a step forward. The right to expect basic human decency from a talk show host? The right to promote my work without being attacked? Yes, Joy, I think I've earned that right, and so has every guest who sits in this chair. Behind the cameras, producers were frantically gesturing to cut to commercial, but no one dared move. The chaos was too captivating. Michael's voice suddenly dropped to a dangerous calm. You know what your real problem is, Joy? You're jealous. You sit here day after day, seething at people who've accomplished things you never could. You'll never be remembered for anything positive. Just as the woman who made a career out of being mean. Joy's face turned scarlet, part fury, part humiliation. You don't know what you're talking about, she stammered. I've worked harder than you ever have in your pampered life. Worked harder? Michael let out a cold, mirthless laugh. At what? Being unpleasant? Making people feel small? If that's work, then congratulations. You're the hardest worker in America. Maybe we should all take a step back. Sarah Haynes began softly. No, Sarah, Michael interrupted, turning to her. I appreciate it, but this needed to happen. Someone had to say it. How many guests have sat here and been ambushed like this? How many have walked away feeling humiliated? Joy leaned forward, desperate to regain footing. You're having a full-blown meltdown on national TV, Michael. This is exactly the kind of entitled behavior I was talking about. Entitled? Michael's voice hit a thunderous pitch that made even the crew flinch. You think standing up for myself is entitled? You think refusing to be your punching bag is entitlement? Let me tell you what entitled really looks like, Joy. Entitled, Michael said, his voice slicing through the tension, is thinking you can treat people however you want just because you've got a microphone. Entitled is believing your bitterness and cynicism make you morally superior to everyone else. The other hosts were visibly unraveling. Sunny Hostin stared helplessly at her cue cards, as if they might hold some kind of emergency script to save this moment. Whoopi just shook her head, eyes wide in disbelief. This wasn't awkward television anymore. It was raw, unscripted human conflict unfolding in real time. You want to talk about privilege, Joy? Michael pressed on, his intensity undimmed. You're the privileged one. You have a platform that reaches millions of people every single day. And instead of using it to uplift, to inspire, to unite, you use it to divide. You use it to spread misery. That's not just privilege, Joy. That's privilege abuse. Joy tried to recover, voice trembling but defiant. Oh, so now I'm the villain? Because I asked a few tough questions? Because I didn't kiss your ring like everyone else? Michael actually laughed, sharp, disbelieving. Tough questions? You didn't ask tough questions, Joy. You launched personal attacks. You made assumptions about my character. You tried to diminish my career. That's not journalism. That's cruelty dressed up as commentary. The silence that followed was suffocating. You could hear the hum of the studio lights, the faint whir of a camera lens, even the uneasy breathing of everyone present. This wasn't an interview anymore. It was a televised reckoning. Michael glanced around at the stunned hosts before locking eyes with the camera. You know what? I came here to talk about something meaningful, something I thought your viewers would actually enjoy. Instead, I've been ambushed with cheap shots and moral grandstanding. That's not entertainment. That's not even professionalism. It's mean-spirited, plain and simple. He started toward the edge of the set, clearly done. I've worked in this business for 50 years, he said over his shoulder, and I've never seen a host behave this unprofessionally. Joy's voice cut through the silence, desperate now. So that's it? You're just going to walk away when things get uncomfortable? How mature, Michael. He froze mid-step, then turned back slowly. The look on his face could have melted steel. Run away? He echoed, incredulous. Lady, I've faced down studio executives. I've battled cancer. I've survived scandals and rebuilt my life from ashes. You think you can make me run away? He strode back toward the table. Security guards off-camera shifted nervously, ready to step in if this went any further. Here's what's going to happen, Michael said, his voice suddenly calm, eerily calm. I'm going to walk out of here with my dignity intact. You're going to sit there and think about how you treated a guest who came here in good faith. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that being controversial isn't the same as being interesting. And being confrontational isn't the same as being brave. He turned and walked off the set without another word. The camera lingered on Joy's face, a mix of anger, disbelief, and something else. Maybe regret. Maybe shame. Seconds later, the broadcast cut to commercial. But the damage was irreversible. In less than 15 minutes, Michael Douglas hadn't just defended himself, he had dismantled Joy Behar's entire approach to television, piece by piece, live on air. That was the day one of Hollywood's most respected actors lost it on live television. And honestly, after everything that was said, can you really blame him? Drop a comment below with your thoughts on this unbelievable confrontation, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of celebrity interviews gone completely off the rails.